Hello and welcome to the Sports and Public Services Open Event webinar. I'll shortly be handing you over to Andy Moore, who is the Head of Department for Sports and Public Services. He'll be delivering a short presentation on the course area. We will have a live Q&A session at the end of the presentation, so please feel free to type in any questions you have in the chat box. This webinar will be recorded and available to view on our website at a later date also. I'd now like to hand you over to Andy, who will go through the presentation with you.
Thank you. Firstly, I'd like to say welcome and thank you for joining us today. As I said, my name is Andy Moore. I'm the Head of Sport and Public Services. So today we will just be going through different ranges around the courses we offer and what it's like to be an Oaklands College student. So firstly, we are set within an award-winning facilities within acres of wide open countryside. There is different bullet points that are obviously on the slide there. I'll just give you a few seconds to look through before I start talking through the facilities that we actually use within sport and public services. So we are based at the St Albans campus. Within our facilities, you can see some of the images that are on the screen right now. We have a multi-sports facility. We also have our gym-based performance gym, which I'm sure if you can see me now, I'm actually currently in, or the screen is behind me. Again, we have Astro, which is in the image in the bottom right, and we've just had a brand new 3G pitches, floodlit, that are on the St Albans site as well, which we use daily. Within both of our curriculum areas on all of the courses, it is accessible to our academies. Now, as you can see, we have a varying amount of academies at college. In terms of these academies, obviously you have to be part of a curriculum course before you can then access an academy. In terms of those academies, how they work with our courses in particular, so they aren't just bound by sport and public services. There are other curriculum areas that you can access as well as the academies, but within these academies, our lessons are usually within the morning or in an afternoon time slot. So for an academy, if you've got lessons in the morning, you do 9 till maybe 12, 12:30, and then 1 till 4, you would then be with the academy. That would be on a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and a Friday. And then Wednesday at college, there are no lessons. It's our game day for our academies. So it's a day where you have off, but you come in and then obviously you're playing against different colleges within the different leagues. As it says on there in the images, we've had some really great success with our academies. We have obviously our athletics and basketball. There is male and female in terms of the basketball. The emerging athletic sports program is like a multi-sports in terms of if any learner is plays or is interested in tennis or golf. These are areas that you can still play out of your club, but you get access to our S&C coaches, the physios that we have on site, and obviously the facilities as well. We obviously have our football programs, so we have the St Albans Football Academy, SAFA, and we also have an Arsenal's Women Academy. Both with all of our academies, there are branches that come out, so once they finish, they can have direct routes, particularly in athletics. Some will go into becoming professional. In terms of our football, with regards to the Arsenal, there is a direct route into the under-19s or under-21s, with some of our learners actually currently playing in the first team. With our St Albans Football Academy, again, direct route into St Albans Football Club. There is also links with different local clubs as well, such as Royston, and the same with our hockey. There is obviously the St Albans hockey is based at Oaklands College, so there's direct routes into there. Our netball is linked with Mavericks, and our rugby is linked with Saracens as well, so there's different routes out of all of our academies. Onto the full-time courses. Just before we kind of start, on the right-hand side of the slide, you should be able to see each of the coordinators' emails. So I'm going to try to talk through each of the courses. If there's any questions that you would like to ask more, even after this, if you just take a note of the coordinator's email, and I would urge you to give them an email, they'll be able to obviously maybe give you a call and go into more detail about some of the questions you might have. If we start with sport, we've got our level 1 course. The level 1 has no grade entries. This is a 1-year course. There is no exams in this. It is a BTEC course. It is all assessment based. It is really An underpinning knowledge of sport, it looks at very much wide area of sport. It's looking at why do people take part in sport, looks at a bit of coaching, leadership. It also looks at a personal progression plan for the learner. In a sense, they get to look at what they want to go into, where they want to move into in terms of their next steps at college, but then also within their careers as well. With a majority of our learners that complete the level 1, they then move on to our level 2 program. Our level 2, again, is a year-long program. There are no exams with this. It's all assessment based. This is with an OCR as a technical. There are some practical elements within this course around our coaching and leadership units. They also look at fitness testing or training, and then anatomy, and you're starting to develop it slightly more detail. Again, with the grade entries for a level 2, it is 3 GCSEs at grade 3, and include maths and English within that, and then 1 other. We then, again, a lot of our learners from level 2 will then move on into our level 3s, or potentially then go into the working industry. Within our level 3 suite, we have 3 different options. It says extended DIP, which is extended diplomas. So each of these courses can be done over 2 years, which is equivalent to 3 A levels, or it can be done within 1 year and you do a 90 credit diploma, which is a year and a half, and then you may move into the working industry, or you may go on to a foundation degree, or potentially even move to a different curriculum area if you were looking to do something else as well. Within the sport and exercise science, this is our course where there are exams within this qualification. Within your first year, you do 2 exams, one within anatomy and the other is within psychology. Again, within the sport and exercise science, majority of our learners, and one of the main routes for this, is into the higher education. So careers, or looking at degrees and careers within nutrition, physiotherapist, sports therapist, biomechanics, performance analysis, again, sport and exercise science degrees, and moving, as I said, mainly into our higher education. Within that course, again, there are units that would be on biomechanics, fitness training, field and lab-based testing. But as I said, this will go over the 2 years, and then we can move on to our sports coaching and development. This course is a brand new course from BTEC. It was written in 2019. It is a course that has been written with employers, and that is written with SimSpa. So after your first year, you actually get a qualification as a assistant sports coach, so which would mean then you'd be able to go into the field as an assistant sports coach, or potentially even in your second year, you can be going out doing coaching and earning a little bit of money while still studying. Within your second year, you can also then get an accreditation from SimSpa as a sports coach, so you'll be able to lead your own sessions. Within this, there are no exams, it's all assessment based, and as it says, they're looking at coaching, sports development, fitness testing, leadership, communicational skills throughout their units. The third option that we have is a sports fitness and personal training. Again, a new course written with employers and written with SimSpa. So within your first year, as well as this is all the units together, can lead you on to university, but within your first year, you get a fitness instructor qualification. And then if you complete your second year, you actually can finish as a personal trainer, which then mean potentially if you went on to university, you could work in the gym, could potentially go straight into own your own business, or even go traveling if you didn't know what you wanted to do and was working in gyms, obviously to keep your finances coming as you keep traveling. Within this course, again, you're looking at mainly fitness, personal training. The units are then based around that. But again, there's no exams within this qualification. It is all assessment based. Then move on to our public services. This level 2 is the first extended certificate. This does have 2 exams. It is a 1-year qualification. And again, same as our level 2 in terms of entry. So it's 3 GCSEs at grade 3. Again, they would be looking at crime or criminology, role within the work of public services, which they have an exam on, and the other exam is within working skills within public services. Another unit they look at is crime and its effects on society. Again, with a lot of our current learners from our level 2, we'll move straight into our level 3. Now, our level 3 again is over an extended diploma, but the year 1 is a 90 credit diploma. Again, equivalent to 3 A levels, looking at units that are on criminology, citizenship, human rights, international law, government and policies. And again, with a lot of our learners going straight into employment, and we also have now more of a percentage of our learners are actually going into higher education from our level 3. looking at degrees within criminology or criminal psychology. Again, I should have said actually earlier with our level 3s, it is 4 GCSEs in terms of the grade entry at a grade 4 or above, and that should include maths and English. However, for the sport and exercise science, it's still 4 GCSEs at grade 4, but it should include maths, English and science. The next slide there just gives you a brief kind of overview in terms of the qualifications that you may have at the end of your GCSEs and what levels that could get you onto. So our level 1, as I said earlier, is no formal grade entries. Level 2 is 3 GCSEs at grade 3 and should include maths and English. And our level 3 that we currently offer is 4 GCSEs, grade 4, including maths and English. But if you're looking at sports science, it should include the science as well. So when your son or daughter joins the courses, they come onto a study program. So what is a study program? It is a recognised qualification. So in terms of the either public service qualification or sports qualification that your son and daughter is on, but the program also then includes potentially maths and English. So any learner that has a grade 2 or 3 within maths and English will then study their GCSEs alongside that qualification. Again, if your son or daughter has a grade 1 or below, they then study their functional skills within maths and English. Once they've then met that qualification, achieved that, they then move on to their GCSEs. But again, that is just outside of the qualification, still within the study program. There are also within that, there is the development of employability and work experience. For every learner, they're looking between 20 and 40 hours of work experience, depending on the level of the qualification that you're studying. Again, with that, in terms of you wouldn't be asked to source your own work experience, we actually have a dedicated team that work with excellent links with local companies and then looking to get our learners into work experience. Also, if it was level 3, I would be asking our learners to also make them links themselves, moving into different areas that they were looking at. We also then within the study program, you've got those personal development skills that you have to be building. And this is done in different ways in terms of our tutorials or in terms of wider learning outside of the classroom in terms of directed study. And this is where you're looking at staying safe online, career advice and guidance. We also have mental health workshops to support any learner on their progression. The learning and the lessons. So obviously the study program, all the courses we offer are full-time courses. So you would be a full-time student. That said, all of our courses that we currently run are on a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and a Friday. And they are half days. So they're not full days in. You're either, as I said earlier, in the morning, so 9 till 12, 9 till 12:15, or in an afternoon from 1:15 until around 4:30. Those are the face-to-face lessons, and then also you would have independent or directed study. This may be around wider reading, it may be on researching or completing your assignments. And then there is also e-learning in terms of the online learning that can be set outside of the class to enhance. As I said earlier, there are obviously some exams within some of the courses. Obviously, you would have mock assessments throughout that in terms of those exam-based units. In terms of the coursework for the other units and the other courses, everything will be delivered to the learner. So everything they need to know about that assignment before it's set is delivered to them. The assignment is then given to the learner. They then usually have 2 weeks to complete that assignment. Within those 2 weeks, the tutor is not able to give any more information around the assignment, but what they can do is potentially look at drafts, looking at how your writing skills, if there are areas that potentially you could improve on. May even ask you questions around actually, what's the answer to this, or what about if you looked at this area, and then they'd be able to put that in their assignment. Once that assignment is then set, as I said, have 2 weeks to hand it in. If they meet that deadline, the tutor then assesses that assessment, gives feedback, gives it back, and all courses are graded either pass, merit, distinction. If, for instance, your son and daughter got a pass on their first attempt, they use the feedback. If we think actually you could have got higher than that, we give it back to you. You look at the feedback, and then you have up to a maximum of 10 days to then resubmit that assignment to get the highest grade. That said, in terms of BTECs, if you miss that first deadline, you only get one submission. So what you submit is what you get. So if you don't achieve that qualification, then you fail. Sorry, that would then mean you fail the qualification. So in terms of organisational skills, time management is absolutely key within each of these courses. The different lesson styles, again, there are tutor-led presentations, there's practical sessions, group individual activities, peer assessment, a lot of, in terms of looking at now, there's different, obviously, virtual learning or online learning activities that we're doing in the classroom around Padlets, Kahoots, and different engaging sessions for the learners. It says on there our Canvas page is our virtual learning environment. So the Canvas page is absolutely everything that is delivered within the course, or any extra material, reading material, is put on this Canvas page, where the learner is able to access this at all times. They're then able to go through, starting different discussion points and different assignments or different research points, and they're able to see every single lesson that has also been delivered. So if, for instance, you're unfortunately unwell for one of the lessons, all the resources are there for you to be able to access, so that you're not left behind. Again, there is also an Oaklands app. Again, this is a brand new college app. It's available for students and parents. You can download it from any of the app stores for iPhone or Google Play, or Android users. If you just simply search Oaklands College, you can install the app. This will allow you to access your Canvas, the individual learner plan, where all comments, timetables, all your gradings for your assessments are all on there. And it's definitely something I would advise any learner to have and be accessing every day. Student support. So all students have a personal tutor. Within our courses, usually you would have 3 tutors that would teach you your units throughout your time within that year, but you then have 1 personal tutor. That 1 personal tutor would meet with you for 90 minutes throughout the week, for an hour and a half. And again, you would look at having one-to-ones with the tutor, looking at what strengths you've got at the moment, what areas you then need to build. You'll be setting targets, how can you improve, looking at different assignments, even different assessment points, just so that you are supported and monitored throughout your progress. As it says here, there's regular monitoring of progress and performance via our Pro portal, which is again the individual learner plans, is where the learner will be setting targets, we'll be looking at what their grades are, how they can improve, setting up what they should be getting at the end of their qualification, and what their next steps could be. There's also student advisors that provide welfare support and advice. This can be around financial support, it could be support within the classroom, or even, you know, just day-to-day things that happen for the learner and how we can support them throughout their time at college. Again, there is regular contact with parents and carers. We have parents and carers evenings, obviously, where you're able to come in. We then talk around your son and daughter and their progression and what they're doing. It says down there as well, we have a discounted bus travel scheme. So I don't know if you've ever seen the pinky purple Uno buses. We have affiliation with them, and in terms of they come around Hertfordshire and able to bring the learners in for a discounted travel scheme rate. I mentioned this earlier around work experience. So Oaklands College has a dedicated team of employability mentors who help students achieve their work experience placements. There is actually lots of studies around how the work experience has improved people's time at college, but also their chances of gaining employment. We would always say, in terms of work experience, absolutely vital. If you're looking to go into potentially going to be a physiotherapist, say, you're going to go to university, do a 4 years at uni. If you haven't done any work experience within that industry, within that work field, how will you know what that's going to be like? And it's your opportunity at college to be able to look at actually different areas that you might want to be able to go into. It says here all students are required to complete the work experience, and as it mentioned in one of the slides earlier, it's between 20 and 40 hours depending on the level, if it's level 1, level 2 or level 3. At Oaklands, we have great employer engagement. Within sport and public services, within sport, we use local coaching companies that are able to come in and actually work with our learners around potentially moving them into, you know, the industry, and also giving them feedback on some of their units. Again, within public services, we have a lot of the public services that actually in the current climate are doing lots of webinars for us, where students are able to ask, you know, have Q&As and try to understand what it's like within the industry. As it says there in the title as well, in terms of our student success, so our learners' next steps from sports, so 78% of our learners went into higher education after they'd finished their qualification, then had 22% going into employment or an apprenticeship. A lot of those higher education will range from different degrees in sports coaching. There's a lot of learners looking to go into physical education, sport and exercise science, nutrition, psychology, physiotherapy, sports therapists. Within the public services, I mentioned it earlier, we've got a growing number of learners that are going into higher education. It said there last year we had 50% of our learners went into higher education looking at degrees within criminology or criminal psychology. 20% of learners went into apprenticeships, and then we had 30% went actually into public service employment, looking within police force, fire service, or even the prison service. Again, both our curriculum areas, as I said, we work with local employers and we engage in different lectures. I said they come in for practical observations, and it's about experiencing life within that employer's shoes. The images at the bottom, and I should mention here actually, are some of the learners that we've had come through sport in terms of what their next steps are and how successful they've been. All of these success stories are on our website, so I definitely advise you to go click onto the Oaklands College website, and you can actually look at the success stories within sport and public services, what our learners have come in, what they've said about the courses and what they've gone on to. So your 6 steps to starting at Oaklands, where you currently are potentially at the moment, is that you've applied for a course, as it says there on the website. Then go to our admissions team. We review your application. Once we've reviewed that application, looked at the grades, things on those lines, we then check this. You'll then have an email that's sent over to you with an offer. You then receive your grades results from your school. Once you receive those, we have an enrolment at the end of August. Obviously, we'd be in contact nearer the time with all the information, and then your course would start in September. So we've gone through each of the slides that I wanted to talk about. Firstly, thank you for listening. Now it's time to go to the questions, and I've got my staff on side that will be able to answer any of your questions right now. So please use the chat function to ask any questions, and we will answer as many as possible.
Lovely. Thank you, Andy. So I'm just going to read through some questions now. So one of the first questions we've got is it possible to do the extended sports diploma and an A-level, for example, maths? Also, is it possible to study these subjects alongside being part of the Rugby Sports Academy?
So I'll answer that. In terms of the first kind of part of that question, you wouldn't be able to study the extended diploma alongside another A-level. The only reason for that is then you'd be looking at doing potentially 4 A-levels, which would be too much for a learner in terms of your time. We'd be potentially looking, set you up to fail there. So what you can do, if you were potentially looking at studying an A-level alongside one of our sports qualifications, we have an option where you can study the sport and exercise science certificate. So this is equivalent to 1 A-level, and then you could study that alongside different A-levels such as maths. It could even be psychology or biology, which we've currently got some of our learners doing now that are looking to go into university in terms of physiotherapy. In terms of any of the courses that we run, you can obviously study those alongside the Rugby Academy. If you were looking to do that alongside an A-level, you still can do that. However, potentially one of the A-level lessons, may clash with the rugby session, so you may miss that session, but it wouldn't be obviously held against you, and the Rugby Academy would work around that to then try and obviously make sure that you are accessing in all of the training so you're not missing out.
Lovely, thank you very much. So I've got another question here. Is there an interview process to get into these courses?
So current process at the moment is that you put your applications in. We would then look at your current grades. At the moment, obviously in the current climate, it's very hard to be doing any face-to-face interviews. If there are any further questions that we'd be looking to ask you, we would then get in contact with yourselves. But at the moment, it would be just your application coming in, and we'd be looking at what those grades are.
Okay, thank you. Someone has asked, what's the entry requirements for the level 3 courses?
So I will pass over to Ewan, and Ewan can answer in terms of grade entries for public services, and then I'll pass back to Tom, and Tom can answer the question for sport.
Thank you.
Hi, yeah, so for the level 3 course, we ask for 4 GCSEs at grade 4 and above, including maths and English. And then for the level 2 public services course, we require 4 grade 3s or above in GCSE. Again, we prefer maths and English. But for all of our students that don't get a maths or English GCSE at 4 or above, we would also enrol you onto our GCSE programs.
Okay, lovely. Thank you.
We go to Tom, and then Tom can obviously answer around the sport.
Okay. Tom, are you there?
No, running on time as far as I'm aware, because we've kind of put 15-minute gaps.
You may have some internet issues, so I can answer that. In terms of our level 3 for the sport, so it is again the same as 4 GCSEs, grade 4 and above, including maths and English. That's for the sports coaching and development, and also our fitness and personal training. However, we have to include the science for our sport and exercise science.
Okay, thank you very much, Andy. So I've got a question here from Nathan. If I was to become a PE teacher without a PE GCSE, what do you suggest is the correct course to take?
Again, I will answer that actually. In terms of going into a physical education degree, if you haven't done PE for any of our sports courses, that's not an issue, it's not a concern. As I said, in terms of any of the assessments, any of the exams that you would do, we will teach you everything you need to know. So in terms of that, it wouldn't matter if you hadn't studied PE. However, we would definitely get you to look at, in terms of the level 3 options, what course areas do you think you would find most engaging or most interesting if you're looking to go into physical education. And I would say even in any of the kind of professions within sport, if it's looking for a degree entry, I would definitely advise looking at the universities now and what they're currently offering in terms of grade entries. A lot of the universities will allow all of our level 3 qualifications in terms of an entry. In terms of, say, if it was potentially physiotherapy, certain universities may ask for an AS within biology. So you'd want to look at potentially what those unis are. In terms of looking at, you know, a PE degree, they would accept all 3 of our level 3 offers at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Someone has asked, what campus is the public services courses based at?
I'll pass that over to Jonathan. Jonathan can answer that question.
All of the public services courses are based at St Albans. You may be expected as part of the course to do practicals that maybe go outside of the campus, for example, walks, hikes, or team building stuff. However, most of the stuff is based at St Albans, and again, if we go on any trips, obviously we'll be off campus as well, but apart from that, yes, they're all at St Albans.
Lovely, thank you. Just following on from that, I've got a question asking, do you have links with the armed forces?
I'll leave that back to Jonathan. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, several. We organise a lot of the armed forces to come in. For example, the RAF, obviously virus permitting, will be coming in after Christmas to do a workshop and team building exercises for one day. We also have the army come in and do something very similar as well. We have a representative also, sort of not the military, but we also have a representative from the policing degree, usually comes in to speak to students about the policing degree and apprenticeship at university. So we have a variety of different links. We would have had the Navy as well, but obviously due to the pandemic, they've been unable to come in as of yet. However, we have several links with a number of the armed services, and we used to do work experience with them as well. But again, due to the virus, it's a bit difficult this year. But yes, we have several links there.
Lovely, thank you very much. So I've just got a sport related question here. What athletics courses do you do?
So there isn't an athletics course, however there is an athletics academy, but to be in any of the academies, obviously you have to have a trial. In terms of the athletics academy, they look at, depending on your events, they look at what your times are, or in terms of how far you in terms of your throwing, what your PBs are, that sort of stuff. But there is a trial. There isn't a specific athletics course that just studies athletics. You'd have to be in any of the academy. You have to be on a main curriculum area before you then can access the academies. That said, we have had learners that are obviously within after Oaklands have then gone on to go straight into as a professional in terms of their academy. But we would always say to any learner, you know, God forbid if you had an injury, what would be your backup? What's that plan B? And that's where it's really key for a learner to be able to look at what curriculum area would they want to go into, in terms of, yes, you may be with Saracens, maybe you know you're going to get a contract and you're going to be in the first team, but God forbid if something did happen, what's your plan B? What would you fall back on? And that's why it's really key about the curriculum areas that you look at, potentially with a career, what are you going to go into if your academy or your playing sport doesn't work out.
Lovely, thank you. Someone's asked, is there going to be football trials to join?
There are trials for all the academies, both for the Arsenal and for the SAFA Academy. In terms of the academies, if you would like more information on any of the academies, if you go onto the Oakland's website, there's a tab at the top that says Academies. If you click on that, it then gives you all of the emails for each of the academies. It also gives you information around how they select players, how, you know, different trials, when they are, and there's more information on there.
Okay, lovely, thank you. So they can find out all that information on how to apply on the website?
Yes.
Yeah, lovely. Someone has asked, what course is recommended for a career path in professional football?
Oh, it's what I said earlier around a career within professional football. You potentially wouldn't need a specific course. However, it's about what would be the backup if you weren't able to gain a career within professional football. If it was, say, for instance, playing, if it was you were looking to doing coaching or performance analysis, could be S&C, could be nutrition within a professional football club, it would be looking at a split between the sport and exercise science qualification and the sports coaching and development. In terms of if it was just the coaching, obviously we would always advise look at the level 3 in terms of coaching and development. This would then allow you to get your coaching badges and move on and go into working within potentially a professional football club. In terms of any professional football club, there is a wide range of roles within any football club. So this could be a nutritionist, could be an S&C coach, could be a sports therapist. And again, this would be the route of a sport and exercise science qualification. And then obviously gaining degree and then going into working within professional football. Again, a really big industry at the moment is performance analysis that's growing. And that would, again, there is a unit on that within sport and exercise science. So I definitely advise that qualification.
Okay, lovely, thank you. Just looking through here. So I've got a public services question here. So it's, can you do other courses while studying public services? Following on from that, public services level 3 is 90 credits. How many credits for the second year?
I'll pass that over to Ewan. Ewan, if you want to answer that one.
Yes, so just like the sports courses, the level 3 public services course is equivalent to 3 A levels. So typically, students that are studying that would study the subject alone. While the first year is 90 credits, the second year would be the same, and that would get you 90 credits. But at that point, it would be called the extended diploma.
Okay, lovely, thank you. Someone has asked here, what would happen if I didn't get the science qualification for the level 3 sports science? Would I be able to change to another course?
Yes, of course. Yeah. In terms of, you would still have the other 2 level 3 options. The reason we put that in there is obviously because there are exams within that sport and exercise science qualification, and over previous experience, the science is really core within that, and again, a lot of universities ask for that, so that's why that's in there. But we wouldn't ever stop, that wouldn't stop you from getting into any of the other level 3s.
Okay, lovely. Someone has asked, what kind of work experience is available for the level 3 public service course?
Jonathan, if you want to answer that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest in the sense that it is quite difficult, obviously, at the moment. What we used to do is we used to arrange a variety of different trips, such as the Royal Courts of Justice, a Army work experience trip as well for a week. We also had a 2-week period where we went to the fire station in St Albans, and the students helped deliver fire safety and a variety of different workshops to primary school children. We would hope that we'd be able to still do that, obviously, in a non-COVID environment. However, it is difficult at the moment, but we are still hopefully going to the Royal Courts of Justice next year. And if obviously things change, we will be able to do some of the work experience that we obviously plan each year. last year or a couple of years ago, we also had a few of the students also help with collecting for the British Legion around Armistice Day as well. So there's a variety of different things we do, and hopefully once the pandemic is at a lower level, we'll be able to do a few more.
Lovely, thank you. So I've got another question here. Someone has asked, how long does it take to receive an email back regarding the academies?
That it could range. Again, it should be, if you've emailed an academy head, you should be kind of 3 working day turnaround. If that hasn't been the case, or if you haven't, then please, you can always email myself and I can obviously chase that up our end as well. But it should be kind of within a week. Obviously they are training every day, but they should be obviously accessing emails and emailing back.
Okay, lovely, thank you. Just gonna have a look. So someone has asked, is there extra help available for writing assignments when English is not your first language, for example?
Yes, definitely. There is for any learner, we have one-to-one support that is that you can book within our reception. So you can have a whole hour one-to-one with our learning coaches. You can take down any of your assignments, any work, can even be any of your maths and English, and you can go down there and you sit with the learning coach, and obviously they can guide you through that. As I said, again, with any of our kind of assignments, we always make sure that we put up like a draft option, so you're able to submit that as a draft to the tutor. They'll also be able to see that, and then they can kind of support you on that. We also do peer-to-peer marking as well, which has been really successful in learners. We have an application where you can put it in, it kind of spits out someone else's, which is completely anonymous, and then you're able to mark that and go through that, and learners can also give feedback there as well.
Lovely, that's great. Thank you very much, Andy. So I think that's all the questions we have for now. If you do have any further questions, then please feel free to get in contact with us via our website, and we'll be able to arrange for someone to answer the questions for you. So we hope you found the webinar helpful, and thank you very much for listening today. If you'd like to join another webinar to find out about another subject area, please return to our virtual open day page, either using the same link or go in via our website. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for joining us.